And I've got a message finally for this segment. If in fact you think that this is a victory for your side, for the deep state, for the shadow government, get another thing coming, because it only makes us collectively stronger. It makes us collectively more determined, and it makes us actually it gets us off the couch, gets us away from our keyboards, and we are going to be fighting back like you've never seen. Doug Hagman sitting in for Alex Jones. Doug Hagman, HagmanReport.com, Infowars.com. By the way, if you haven't done so already, support this movement. And really, it's a movement. It's a great American movement that the giant has awakened by the actions of the deep state, by the shadow government. They have awakened a giant. The giant, of course, Infowars. Support Infowars.com, InfoWarsStore.com. In fact, right now, some of the greatest products, BrainForce Plus, 40% off plus free shipping. BrainForce Plus is probably one of my favorite products of all, along with Super Male Vitality, Super Female Vitality, 50% off plus free shipping. Secret 12, 40% off plus free shipping. Folks, look, there are no spectators in the fight that we find ourselves. None. You're either for us, meaning the people who are for free speech, for open dialogue, or you're against us, meaning you are really a fascist or someone who supports fascism, because we are seeing this communist type activity, which is really just a different word for fascism and Nazism. They're all of the same cloth, really. They're just different threads of the same cloth. That's contrary, of course, to the what they want you to believe, that Nazism, for example, is from the extreme right. No. It's all on the extreme left if you study history, and that's why they don't want you to study history. But again, Survival Shield, Alpha Power, all of the products, get some skin in the game. Put some skin in the game. Support Infowars.com, InfoWarsStore.com, and take part of the specials. You'll feel better, too, on top of all that. Now, the last segment, which I couldn't for the life of me come up with a title for. I want to thank the fine folks at Infowars for helping me out on that. I was talking about the history, really, how we got here, and don't forget, it was Cass Sunstein back in 2009, and then there was that infamous but downplayed meeting in 2011, February 17th, 2011, in San Francisco, with all of the tech giants, along with Obama. And isn't it interesting now that and I believe it was during that period of time that there was this gentleman's agreement, or this agreement of sorts, the companies that came up with a way to shut down all of the speech, all of the information that was getting out, and Infowars was at the very top, and I'd like to think we were too, and this affects too as well. This will affect, if it hasn't done so already, those people posting facts and information on Facebook that's antithetical to the narrative, and of course you know that. But currently we see that the leftists, the establishment, the deep state, they're labeling anyone who disagrees with them as hate speech. And this, as Alex has said, look at the timing of this. 90 days right now, 89 days, 90 days before the midterm elections. Is that a coincidence? I think not. They cannot win in the free market of ideas. They cannot argue. They cannot debate in the free market of ideas. This is why they want to censor their political opposition. And we saw this, where do we see this before? We saw this in the run-up to the 2016 election with the opposition research and the dirt that was thrown at Donald Trump. And we know that Infowars, and they made history. Infowars made history and supported and was really effectively assisted in the election of Donald Trump. And I don't think anyone can argue that. Now it's payback time. It's payback by the deep state. So understand what is taking place here. And when I say that, I don't mean to sound like I'm speaking down, but just understand what's taking place. And for those who are rejoicing in the banning, I've been seeing a lot of that. And I want to speak to that for a second. I've just got one word, schadenfreude. I don't know how many people have ever heard that word, Schadenfreude. It's a German word, and the meaning of which, and perhaps I've spoken about it before, the meaning of which is those people who derive pleasure from someone else's troubles. And if that is where, and I see a lot of that, and if that's where you're at, well, that's a two-way street. Trust me when I tell you, because it's no fun when you are the recipient of the duct tape over your mouth, or when they shut you down, or when they file lawsuits against you for expressing your ideas, or when they misrepresent, even worse, misrepresent what you say in the marketplace. I'm a victim of that. I'm a victim of lawsuits, as is InfoWars. It's the cheap thing to do right now. It's the way to silence the opposition. But you know what? Just like Alex Jones, it doesn't make me want to crawl up in a fetal position like some snowflake. Frankly, it hacks me off, and it makes me more determined to fight. And fight I will, and fight. So will Alex Jones, and so will InfoWars. So I'm proud of InfoWars, and I'm proud of the fight I'm proud of the side that we're on in this fight. But and I want to address another issue as well, because I mentioned in the previous segment as well as this segment about the meeting and about the fact that we're looking at private companies with a gross domestic product equivalent of $2.7 trillion. Think about that. Think about that in terms of the sovereign power that wields in the marketplace. When you see things operating, when you see private companies operating in concert with each other in a 12-hour span, you think about both antitrust law as well as anti-monopoly laws and statutes. And there's a difference there, but without going into it, the bottom line is this. Some people would disagree, and I tend to agree that we want to keep government out of the private marketplace. But there are some would agree that what we're seeing here is a violation of the antitrust laws, the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890, to be precise. And if you look at that and you do some research of history, you'll find that the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890 was a law passed by Congress under the presidency of Benjamin Harrison, and it regulated competition among enterprises. It's exactly what we're seeing today. And it authorized the Department of Justice to bring suits to enjoin, for example, to prohibit conduct violating the act, and additionally authorizes private parties injured by conduct violating the act to bring suits for treble damages. The reason I wanted to bring that up is because that's on the table here, I believe. When you look at, as I said, the gross domestic product, the equivalent thereof, $2.7 trillion among 4 companies, and the behavior of I was going to say Osama bin Laden, the behavior of Barack Hussein Obama, and the meetings that that took place, the nomination of Cass Sunstein, all of that, the history. What was that all about? And then, of course, the payback, because as Alex has said many times, and as I've said many times, the deep state, the shadow government, refuses. They absolutely do not want a repeat of 2016. They can't afford it. They cannot lose in the midterms. They're all in. And I think if people understand what this is all about, elections have consequences. And we're seeing the fruits of those consequences, or the fruits of that election in the consequences right now. We're seeing the vile, unspeakable hatred by these anti-Donald Trump anti-Donald Trump supporters and anti-Donald Trump people. They themselves are the Nazis. It's all coming out. And again, I mentioned Schadenfreude. Bottom line, if you're taking some sort of pleasure in seeing this, well, it's to your own peril. And I've got a message finally for this segment. If in fact you think that this is a victory for your side, for the deep state, for the shadow government, get another thing coming, because it only makes us collectively stronger. It makes us collectively more determined, and it makes us it gets us off the couch, gets us away from our keyboards, and we are going to be fighting back like you've never seen. Folks, Doug Hagman sitting in for Alex Jones. Infowars.com. Visit InfoWarsStore.com. Get the products. get some skin in the game. Support this.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
He goes to jail. He goes to jail. Lock him up.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Survival Shield X2 Nascent Iodine. If you're interested in healthy thyroid, if you're interested in well-being, if you're interested in having a higher IQ, which this has been linked to, get your powerful Survival Shield X2 at InfoWarsStore.com.